Our main goal is to find out how religion impacted America during the naturalist time period. Our time period is between the late 1800s and the early 1900s. There are many ways we can do that. A few include going over naturalist time period essays, diaries, speeches, and many more. One speech may have been by George Carlin, a famous speech viewed by more than 7 million people. This would show us how to react to religion during the 1900s. This would show us all how religion would have played a part during the naturalist time period and how it plays a part today. Another great example of this is The Thinking Atheist. It shows us how religion does not make sense and how it is flawed in many aspects, in many ways and everything. It is a podcast on religion and how it affected people's lives. This will help my team find things and questions that happened within the naturalist time period and give us a better understanding of what it was like to be a naturalist. Is religion good or bad? Is a TED Talk about religion being either good or bad. This would show us whether or not religion is good or bad during our time period. It would help my group find out facts about religion during the late 1800s and mid 1900s. This also shows us how people during the 1900s and early 1900s and late 1800s would think of evolution and how it plays a part in today's role of society. The autobiography of David Ward will give us an insight into the lives of people who live near this time period, their interactions with religion and any other things, how they have found religion to affect their lives, and etc. John A.'s 19th century school books were textbooks of an informational sort. They will show my team how religion affects the school system during the late 1800s and how there was lack of church and state, and how it affected America's school systems and textbooks. This might even give us insight of how things were developed to make the school have a separation of church and state. Science offends our deeply held beliefs is a believer versus non-believer political cartoon that just shows the ridiculous ideals that some theists may have. If it goes against your religion, no matter how much you can prove it, it has to be eliminated because contrary to facts. It will help my team understand why there was little hostility back then because science was not very easy to find. One major event that happened from Darwin's discoveries is that it led to the ideal of evolution. Ultimately, now it gives atheists a platform to say that God did not just make all the animals. They had slowly evolved over millions of years, but that is their opinion. Not only that, but it abolished the idea that the Earth is only 6,000 years old. If it takes millions of years to have evolution, the Earth would not be 6,000 years old. During the late 1800s, people thought all animals were just the way they were and had not derived from anything. Most people's opinions changed after hearing Darwin. Here is a brief video of the Cambrian explosion.
Wow, that's animals and stuff. But we're still in the ocean. Hey, can we go on land? No. Why? The sun is a deadly laser. Oh, okay. Not anymore, there's a blanket. Now the animals can go on land. Come on, animals, let's go on land. Nope, can't walk yet. And there's no food yet, so I don't care. Okay, will you learn to walk if there's plants up here? Maybe, said some bugs. And fish. Okay, so I can go on land, but I have to go back in the water to have babies. Learn to use an egg.
I was already doing that.
Use a stronger egg. Put water in it. Have a baby on land in an egg. Water is in the egg. Baby in the egg, in the water, in the egg. Works for me. Bye-bye, ocean. And now everything's huge, including bugs. Want to see a map of the land? Sure. Now everything's dead. Just kidding, here are the survivors. Keep your eye on this one because it's about to become the dinosaurs. Here's another map of the land. Yeah, it broke apart. Don't worry about it. It does that all the time. Here comes a meteor. And the dinosaurs are gone.
One might think, how does religious ideology impact America? This topic is quite relevant in today's society, considering the fact that many public schools around the nation have recently taken religion out of the basic curriculum. God's Not Dead is a religion-based movie about how a student refuses to disavow his faith in Jesus for a passing grade in his law class. He then has to prove the existence of Christianity to his professor, or else he will fail the class. This is a good example of why law officials took religion out of standardized curriculum, because religion is a controversial topic in today's society. Heaven is for Real is about a child's trip to heaven and back, when he died and came back to life in the hospital. This shows that even when no one believes you about your religious experiences, that you can't listen to them and you can't let them influence you on your religious beliefs. Preacher's Daughters is a TV show about pastors' daughters who clash with their fathers, whose strict views cause them to lash out. This is an example of how one might view Christianity, believing that just because one drinks or smokes will cause them to go to hell. Find God's match for you. This is an ad for Christian Mingle. This ad is very controversial because not only do you have to be of Christian belief to join, but it also eliminates most Americans. In a way, they are saying only Christians can use their website, which is narrowing down their demographic.
For architecture, the painting by Jean Francois Millet, entitled The Church of Greville, captures what a church would look like in the naturalistic time period. The rustic look and secluded area really represents it well. This piece of architecture gives you a glimpse of what religion was like during that time period. The painting I chose was a painting by John Constable. It's called Flatford Mill. The painting gave a clear representation of what the naturalistic time period was like. Everyone lived very secluded. Everyone had their own land, worried about their own family, and going into town as needed. For a propaganda poster, it was created by Winsor McKay entitled Liberty Bonds. During the nationalistic time period, the government wanted to try and get people to buy bonds. They were wanting you to not only defend your country with your service, but also with your money.
In theology, Ostrom Stephen Lant was a spiritualist, which was an informal religion that reached its peak between 1840 and 1920. Spiritualism, in early life, he was strongly against slavery and did not believe that it was a divinely appointed institution. Lant became a doctor because he was interested in the way that practicing medicine opens a man wide to opportunities for benevolence. This is similar to the practices of the mesmerists, whose healing techniques fostered extrasensory perception. In an essay by John Steinbeck, Steinbeck asserts that no matter how hard you work or how compassionate you are, the world is still against you. There is this constant promise of the promised land in our lives through religion, with the statement, if you do good, you will go to heaven. But all Americans can do is think about how they will never be good enough. And when we are constantly yearning for answers and you finally get one, we are dissatisfied. This essay not only applied to Americans then, but can be transmitted to Americans into America today. The book The Call of the Wild by Jack London was extremely popular after it was published in 1903. He wrote it after traveling across America. He did attend college for a short time, but left to seek further adventure as part of the Klondike Gold Rush in 1897. This book is the story of a dog, but is different from most animal adventures published at the time. As a sled dog, he has to fight to stay alive in the Arctic in the face of cruelty and hunger. In this book, London blended his experiences in the Canadian wilderness and his ideas about nature and the struggle for existence. He was influenced by Charles Darwin, the naturalist, and Nietzsche, who rejected Christianity as a meaningful force. He believed that God is dead and felt that individuals should strive to overcome the darkness of civilization and traditional ideals. London's story about the dog's struggle for mastery, the conflict between civilized and uncivilized worlds, and the search for comfort in a world where the traditional sources of comfort have broken down and become dog eat dog. August Strindberg's play Miss Julie, first published in 1888, is Strindberg's attempt to find the new naturalist theater. He feels that plays should be realistic. For example, the play has references to bodily functions, staging, no footlights and makeup, and time. Miss Julie, for example, takes place over a single compressed and unbroken 90-minute episode. Strindberg also felt that characters should be realistic, complete with human flaws. The play refers to mystical forces as it depicts the struggle across gender and class constraints. The recipe for apple butter custard pie is from the cookbook Buckeye Cookery, compiled and published in 1876 by a congregation of women at a Congregational church in Marysville, Ohio. These recipes were all taken from all around the Midwest and put into this book. While Buckeye is a term used to refer to people from Ohio, this precious compilation, backed by the church, is loved by Midwestern housewives all around and has changed the perspective on what little old ladies in a church can do with a spoon and a mixing bowl. And as that carries down through generations, teens today researching their ancestry will find this and see what this wonderful compilation once was and is today.